Jack, Noble here. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, guys? It's your boy Jack, or Nobledez, and I have a small question for you. Have you ever wanted to look like a hacker, or at least like some kind of tech wizard? I don't know. Well, if you want a quick answer on how you can look like one, you literally just gotta open up a command prompt on Windows and type in tree. Everyone thinks you're like hacking everything at that point, but I have something a little cooler. Now granted, this video is fully based around Windows because everything else sucks. Yeah, but something really cool that Windows has is batch files. And I'm gonna start off by saying I'm not the best teacher at all. I'm probably gonna explain this in the worst way possible. But batch files are essentially really small programs or scripts, I guess you could say, that you make with a really simple, I don't even know if you'd consider it a coding language, but I guess a coding language. And you can simply make this through a notepad, and you can rename your txt file as a .bat file, and bam, cool stuff. You can do really cool stuff with this, especially if you really understand how it works. Full games have actually been coded in batch files, which is pretty cool. And one of the best ways to look like a hacker is by making your own custom batch file and opening it on someone's computer or something. So I could have sat here and made a whole tutorial explaining the structure of batch files and how to code and make your own, but that'd be boring. So I sacrificed my weekend to make a tool that automatically generates batch files for you. Now, it's not random or anything like that. It's almost like one of those drag and drop coding things, so you can visually create your own batch files without having to know anything about code, really. For anyone who's interested, I coded it in C#, and no, I will not be releasing the source code. I've seen other visual batch file makers out there, and they suck. So, I'm gonna show you guys how to use it. So, since this is like one of those smart boy moments, I guess, I'm gonna go ahead and put my glasses on, cause why not? And also, I kind of like seeing. So if you go ahead and go to my site, nobledez.com, and just scroll down to my software, you'll see right here, my tool, Auto Batch. Well, here's my other tools too, but Auto Batch is what you need. I'll have a link to it in the description. You click it and it'll take you here to the Auto Batch page, blah blah blah, best visual batch maker in the world. And to get it, just go ahead and click download. And what it's going to do is it's going to take you to an AdFly page, and what AdFly does is it allows me to sort of get paid for the free stuff I release. Realistically, I get about 0.2 of a cent every time you click it, so it's not that much. But I mean, every few days I have enough to get like a Red Bull or something, so yeah. Just make sure you don't click anything else. Like, you see this random thing that's appeared here, never click any of these, don't click any of this. The only thing you ever want to click on this is this yellow skip ad button right there, alright? With past tools I've released, people have always, for some reason, clicked other things, despite me several times saying not to, and then they blame me. Hurts, man. We're gonna go ahead and just click skip ad, and it's gonna redirect you to the download. It might go straight to it, or you might end up with one of these pages. Just give it a second, it'll pop up. And since this is redirecting, I don't need this thing right there anymore. And blah blah blah, here it is, Auto Batch, preparing your download. Just go ahead and download it. If anything else opens up like this, just close it. It's just a bunch of stupid ads, because, you know, we gotta get paid somehow, I guess. And you're gonna get a zip file. So mine automatically open. You can see we got everything in here. This is the program itself. This is an auto updater in case I ever need to release an update to fix bugs or something. And this version thing is for the auto updater. So I'm gonna close Chrome because I don't really need that anymore to use my desktop. It's kind of messy. And I'm gonna just go ahead and make a new folder. I'm gonna call it Auto Batch, and I'm just gonna drag all of this stuff into there, just so it's organized and not like everywhere, you know. So I'm gonna go into Auto Batch, blah blah blah, and there's the tool. If you want, you can go ahead and create a shortcut so that you can get to it from your desktop or something, which is what I'm gonna go ahead and do. So really quickly, before we get into the tool, I'm gonna show you guys a batch file I have here. This one does a lot of stuff just because when I'm bored, I kind of add to it. You can say it says like my name in different color, blah blah blah. It's pretty cool. So this right here is essentially what a batch file looks like. Like I said, a command prompt. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up my tool, Auto Batch, and here it is. It is, oh my gosh, it is beautiful. Okay, so it might look complicated at first, but don't worry, it's easy. That's the whole reason for this tool existing, is to make making batch files easier. Right here on the left side, we have like this little thingy. There's visual and raw. So visual is what you're going to be working with, obviously, because it's a visual batch generator. And in raw, you'll be able to see like how much of your batch file is generated so far, how it looks behind the scenes. And then right here, you have like some elements to use. You got commands and elements. And if you want to support your creator, because I do everything I do for practically free, No, like seriously, I'm only making like $8 a month off YouTube right now. But yeah, and also for people that find this tool through other means, they can find my site and my channel. Down here, you can see the changelog for updates to come out. Right here, I'll explain this button later actually. And you know, I'm gonna explain all that later. Okay, so let's jump into it. So, all of code works pretty much the same. A programming language is like an actual language. Yeah, languages are different, but they usually all follow the same basic principles of grammar and sentence structure. Some might be a little different, but at core, it's pretty much all the same. So like, once you learn one programming language, it becomes very easy to essentially learn any other programming language. You just kind of adapt to the way it works. The structure is still the same though. So for example, code is really just a list of instructions for a machine to follow. It follows instructions left to right, top to bottom, unless you specifically have instructions to skip to a certain part, of course. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add something random. So right here in elements, I always start off my batch files with toggling the command visibility. So usually whenever you run a command, it does the command and then it echoes out a log of the command it just did. And it looks kind of stupid and ugly, so I turned that off. So you'll see whenever I click that, it added this right here. So right here we have value, which is 1, and entry type, which is commands hidden. So entry type shows you like what the thing is that you're working with, and value is the value of it. So commands hidden, it's set to 1. 1 equals true, 0 equals false. It's very basic. I really hope you knew that. So commands hidden is set to true, so I won't see the log be echoed out of the command that was just executed. But if I set it to 0, then there's not really a point of having it here because it's set to 0 by default, but you get the point. I'm gonna set that back to true. So the best way to usually start things off after you hide the commands is a new function. So I don't think function is the proper term for this when it comes to batch, but essentially what this does is it defines a segment in your code. So you see right here, this is function and it's new by default. I'm gonna call this start. So this labels this part of the code as the start. Let's say later on I want to jump back to the start. I'll be able to use a goto command to go to this label right here, this function. So it'll go all the way back to start and it'll continue from where I jumped to. Might be weird, but I'll explain it more here in a sec. Elements, commands, pretty simple. Right here, there's like a bunch of commands you can do. Right here's a bunch of like elements you can add. I'm gonna go ahead and add text. So the default text is hello world. So since we want to be some super cool hackers, I must make this say, welcome to your master hackser. There we go, that's perfect. And if you want, whenever it comes to text, you can right click it and you can actually set a custom color for it. So one thing to note about coloring in batch is it's always white by default, and the background is always black by default. You can have lines have their own individualized background and text color, and you could also change the default color of everything else. Show you more of that in a sec. Frick. I need to stop foreshadowing. Oh yeah, I'm gonna click set color and I'm gonna set this to green because that's a pretty cool hackerish color. So if I click here raw, you can see like the code already being generated. And all this stuff right here, there's like a lot more than you would usually see in a batch file, and all this is here because of the individually colored line. So we can actually go ahead and test out the code we already have. You'll see down here there's a blue play button. This allows you to test whatever's currently there, but you're gonna notice something. When I click it, the command prompt immediately appears and disappears. The reason for that is batch files, whenever they run out of instructions, they just close, they kill themselves. Wow. So what you're gonna wanna do is just add a pause, and this right here pauses the code, and you'll see whenever I do it now, you can actually see it. It says press any key to continue. And you see the text is green and everything just like we wanted it to be. But let's say you don't want it to say press any key to continue. You just want it to pause without saying that. You can right click it and you see the value set to visible. You can right click it and you can make the visibility invisible. Shoot, there is a plane outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that. What the frick? Go away, plane, Mr. Plane. Okay, anyways, that's pretty cool and alright. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. Or actually, another thing to show you all is you can obviously delete things, and you can move things up and down just in case you want to, I guess. Remember, code is read left to right, top to bottom. So let's say I want this to be the first thing that's done, and move it all the way to the top, and bam, it's the first thing it's done now. But I'm gonna move it back down here. And I'm gonna get rid of the pause for now, just to show you guys something different. So you can actually take in user input. And what this is the input of the user. So let's say you want to like type in a command and have the program do something based on what command you typed in. So I clicked add user input and we got this tag right here. The entry type is user input, and right here is input variable. So you want to define a variable here for whatever the user types in right now. I'm gonna just call this input 1. Make sure whenever defining variables you never have like matching variable names. It's just not a good idea. And now what I can do is I can right click it and generate an if statement. So you see it generated 2 tags. The first tag's entry type is if equals, and this one right here is if ends. So what you can do here is you can put anything you want in between these 2 tags, and what is in between these 2 tags will only be done if the user types in whatever you put here. So you see right here, this is input value. So let's say the user types in, I don't know, cheese. Then I'm gonna have it echo out and Mac. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this up, so you see this is in between if equals and if end. So whatever's in between these 2 things will be done if the user types in cheese. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add a pause, and let me go ahead and show you guys that. So I'm gonna type in cheese and Mac. Now let's see what happens if I don't type in cheese. I'm gonna type in I don't know, burger. You see it jumps straight to the pause because I didn't type in cheese. You can have as many if statements as you want per user input. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and define a new section in the code, or function if that's the proper terminology for this when it comes to batch files. I think the proper term is label, but whatever. It's my tool, I do what I want. And I'm going to call this, I don't know, segment 2 because I am freaking creative. Alright, so there's something I just forgot about, window title. You can actually define the name in a window here, and I usually recommend like putting this at the top because, you know, you want that to be defined from the beginning. Unless you plan to constantly change it, you can do that too. I'm gonna have this called Cool Hacks Software. There we go. So the name of the window is named that, as you can see. So anyways, for segment 2, I'm gonna give the user an opportunity to reset the tool. So I'm gonna go ahead and make an if statement. So if they type in reset, I'm gonna add a goto. So right here, goto function, this is what I was talking about earlier, where you can like jump to different segments of the code. So you see this goto is new by default. If I right click it, there's a goto thing, and right here you can see all the currently defined functions or segments or labels, whatever you want to call it, in the code. So I'm gonna have this goto start if the user types reset. And let's say they don't type that, I'm gonna have the text say, well, this is the end, lol. There we go. And then I'll add a pause, and I'll make that pause invisible. And let me go ahead and show you guys that. This is just that first one, and here's the second one. So if I type in reset, you can see it jumped all the way back to the beginning, and it's now repeating itself. So blah blah blah. Let's say I don't type in reset, or I type in something different. It says, well, this is the end, lol, just as I coded it to do. But let's say you don't want all that code building up on itself, because you saw that it continued to build up because it was just echoing through the same code. You can add a clear screen, and what this will do is it'll clear the screen whenever this command is came upon. Yeah, I'm gonna move this up into the beginning of the start function. Every time the code or the program reaches this right here, it's going to clear the screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys cheese blah blah blah, and if I type in reset, it goes back to the beginning, and it also clears the screen. And frick, I just realized since it's clearing the screen after that text appears, we don't get to see it. Let me put it above that. Okay, yeah, now we can see it. So cheese blah blah blah, reset, and you see it clears it and it doesn't build up. So yeah, there's a lot of things here, guys, to work with. You can go to raw, you can see like the code that's being generated, and there's a lot to work with here. Go to function, add user input, toggle visibility. There's some pretty self-explanatory ones like log off and shut down, which just logs off the computer or shuts it down when this command is executed. You can exit the batch. What this will do is it'll close the batch file whenever this is ran into. You can start up a new program. I'll actually go ahead and show you guys this too. So I click this. By default, it just opens up another command prompt, but you can click this right here and you can have it start up anything. And if you want a different program besides the default ones here, you can always change the value to a program that you want it to open here. So I'm gonna have it open up, I don't know, Chrome for me. Here, let's have it do that. So let me go all the way to the bottom real quick. Shoot, what? Okay, I don't know what happened there, but blah blah blah. You'll see oh shoot, it's on my other screen, my bad. I always have it over here, but yeah, blah blah blah, open tools, or other programs. And you can have the tool open up links as well. So you see right here by default, just has it open my site, but quite obviously you can type in your own link if you want. Blah, open that up, and okay, yep, here it is. You can see it open the link that I have typed in. Make sure whenever you type in your own link that it's a proper link, meaning it starts with the HTTP thing. If it doesn't detect it as a link, it won't open it. So make sure your link's correct. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that because that'll get annoying. So earlier, I also mentioned default text and color. So if a line doesn't have its own custom set color, it will just have the default color or the default background. So you can change that whenever you want. Right here, change text color, and whenever you click that, it'll have you select something. So I'm gonna select red for the text color. Let me move that up to the top, and I'm gonna make it so if the user types in cheese, the background turns yellow. So we'll just move that up into that if statement real quick. So you can see the text by default is red. Now if I type in cheese, background turn yellow. Pretty cool. So yeah, there's a lot of things in this tool, and I do plan to continuously add more things. Maybe you can do pings, which you can use, which I use to like add pauses to the code. A lot of things here, and there's a lot more things that I might add. Now, quite obviously, you can do your own like more advanced things, because you know I couldn't really possibly add everything to this tool. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click this little book down here, and this right here actually shows documentation of batch. So you can see right here like all the different tags and how you can work with them. And if you're interested in seeing the latest updates to the tool, you can click this icon right here, which is the changelog. So it'll just open up a changelog, blah blah blah. It's currently on 2.0 release because I did have some people beta test for me. So you click this button right here if you want to export it. I'm just gonna export it to my desktop is, I don't know, haxer.bat, and bam, you see I got it right here, brother. So open that up and you can see I got my batch file. And if you ever want to, you can just click this red button right here to reset everything. So it will give you a warning message first, so don't worry about accidentally clicking it or something. Reset batch project, data can't be recovered. Yes, boom, brand new slate. Let me know what you guys think of this. And if you make anything really cool, be sure to send it my way on Twitter, at Nobledez. I am interested in seeing what you guys use my tools to do. I really do love it when other people use my tools. Because, you know, if you coded a program and no one used it, then like, pointless. But yeah, I spent a weekend on this, and I added an auto updater so I can release updates whenever need be. But using this, you can make batch files and make yourself look like some kind of hacker. Just make a batch file, I don't know, put it on your drive or your email, open it up on a teacher's computer or something, and bam, super expert hacker status. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Let me know what you think of this, and your boy Nobledez
is out lol.